And we talked about a number of potential incomings, Bart. We've got to do this tonight a little bit because stories in the last sort of 48 hours, you can't ignore that. If we talk about Cody Gakpo story, first of all, linked with an exit to Bayern Munich, specifically, Florian Plettenberg had that. And I think a lot of people dismissed it. But it's important to say that Lewis Steele of the Daily Mail, well-known, well-respected, did say that, yeah, absolutely, Bayern do have an interest in Gakpo. He is one of the players that they're looking at. Doesn't mean they get him, but they're looking at. It's important to say. Luis Diaz, also he's linked to Barcelona for about 60 million years, it feels, doesn't it, at the same time? Yeah. But Saudi, again, mentioned Al Nassr making him a top target, and his wages, that renewal, 2 years left to go, 28. All things I know you're aware of, ladies and gents, but the context is everything in this regard. So I've got an easy question for you, but it's probably not the most simple to answer. These are two fans' favourites, it's fair to say. Some fans I know love Gakpo, some fans I know love Diaz for different reasons. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. The quick question that needs an essay answer, Bart, is if 70 million quid or so gets slapped on the table for either, what do the stats say about taking that or rejecting it?
I think the contract situation is key for Diaz, right? Because 70 million quid for a player who's got less than 2 years left on his deal, right? I think that might be too good a deal to turn down. Personally, you also bought the lad for 40 odd, was it? 40, 45.
Yeah, I think we're not fully sure, but with the installments, something like that from Porto.
Something like that, right? So you're making a £35 million profit on him, potentially, give or take, say 20, 25. You've had he's 28, right? It's typically the wide players and the forwards that almost he's past his peak on the decline, right? So if you give him a 5-year deal, you're probably only going to get 2 more out of him at his peak, and then he's going to start to come down, right? So from a business point of view, 70 million quid or plus for a player like that, for me, makes total sense, all right? And I also would happily admit the guy has had one of his all-time seasons, right?
Yeah,
it's one of his best seasons. It's one of the few seasons that he's actually been on par with Mane levels for us, which is saying something because Mane was an absolute legend, was superb for us. So, yeah, it would be hard to say goodbye to him after that season. But from a business point of view, I could totally understand it. Stats-wise, he's also, because he's played 2 positions, it's always equality. It's difficult to look at him sometimes, but it's funny because we were chatting on UP about what's your favourite games and what's your best block of time. And everybody came back to the conclusion, they picked games where Diaz was a 9, Cody was left, and Mo was right. So I think people have this memory that he didn't play that many games there. But actually, in a lot of our big, good runs, Diaz was down the middle. So if you look at him as a forward, he has done, as a forward, he's got a lot of things there, 98, 98, 98, 97. The only ones that he's below 80 on is non-penalty XG and XA, non-penalty goals, which is something, the other one, I'll find average in a minute, but non-penalty goals, 83rd. There you go. So that's the only one where you want your forward to be a bit better than that. But you got blocks, so defensively we know he's good. We know he's good at interceptions, assists are above the other 2 we just looked at, right? Shots total down, all right? That's 2.5. That's in and around an Alvarez level, not the Hugo level, about 3.7. And aerials, we know he's poor in the air, even though he's tall. And clearances, that's not really he's not in the side to do clearances, right? But on the face of it, you can't lie. That's a really good profile, right? That's a really good profile as a forward. Sorry. Yeah, so we are looking to get a forward, right? We're looking to buy a forward to come in. If you look at him as a left winger, though, that's a slightly different story, right? There's a lot more. There's only 3 in the 90th percentile, which is 9.8 goals, pass completion and on-bet XG. So other than that, he has a set in the 80s, which is progressive passes received, touches, and assists and goals together. Then you've got shot creating actions is low, right? 75th percentile. It's good, but it's not in the high echelon, should we say. Shots total, again, 2.5 for him as a winger. That's low for a winger. And then you look at some of the other ones which you'd expect him to be better at, particularly out wide, which is progressive carries. He's only 61st percentile. So there's 40% of other wingers better than him. Yeah. So that's where I think you start. If you start picking him, I think you need to work out if you're selling him as a left winger, that is a very different thing than if you're selling him as a forward this season, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see why the club would take that deal. I think you could get a left winger who would perform as well as he has done as left winger this season. Forwards, we know they're looking for one, and that will cost you a lot of money to do what Diaz has done down the middle. But they might consider that you give me 70 million, and I'll go and buy, I'll put 30 to it and get Alvarez as a 24-year-old or whatever it is forward. That might be a better long-term solution for them than having a 28-year-old that you're hoping he has another exceptional season. Or if he returns to his norm, it's a notch below his last season output. So that's what I would say on Diaz. He's had a great season. Loved him. One of the major reasons you won the title. But yeah, you should be looking over a period of time with him, really, for being honest.
True. Yeah, it's a tough one with Diaz, and he is a crowd favourite because of his style of play, it's fair to say, and the way he goes about it. And, you know, an impressive second highest scorer in the Premier League, wasn't he? So if you look at the Premier League and Champions League, it was 16 goals, 5 assists. So, you know, aside from the cup competitions as well. So a really impressive season for him at the same time. I suppose, is he a hot or cold? It felt like this season he was hot. We bought him when he was hot, but he's a streaky player, it always feels.
Yeah, he is. And that's exactly what I just want to understand for him. This season, he finished just above par. Right, surprisingly. I mean, everyone, as I'm saying with you, I thought, oh, wow, he'd be well above XG this season, but he's not, only 0.64, which basically means he scored as many as he should have. Yeah, he scored 13 goals from 12. That's about right. Last season, he was well under. We can all remember the plethora of misses that he made last season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, against City, he missed 3, for example, 3 big chances. The season before, again, he was par. The first season he came with us, he was actually under. So, yeah, this season, surprisingly, his assists have been the other way. So, was there 2 good seasons for that? So, I think he can be streaky, and I think it's absolutely fair to say to him, this season he's been on a hot. Last season he was under by 0.48, which is the same as Nunes is this year, I think. So, yeah, are we confident he'll give us another green next season, or are we more confident he'd continue that 4-year pattern of going back to the red next season? I don't know. That would be something the data guys would have to make a call on. Yeah, but at worst case, he could be just under par.
And at 28 to be 29 next season as well, that may well be something that just nudges it over. We will have to see. I mean, on the other side, Bart, one player who isn't 29 is Cody Gakpo. That it's an interesting one that this link's come up all of a sudden, because people will just look and think, well, everything's Dutch a little bit at Liverpool at the moment, isn't it? The manager, like the Rumours set to join in as well. But there's this strong rumour, isn't it, around Cody Gakpo and Bayern Munich. So I suppose it's intriguing. 26 years old, Cody, only just 26 as well. It feels like, again, it's been a good, strong season for him. But is there a case if that 70 million was whacked down on the table?
No, so this one's slightly different. He's younger. He's got longer on his contract. You're correct me if I'm wrong on that. Has he got 3 years, 4 years, 3 years? Yeah. So you're not quite in that do or die situation, that poker who blinks type thing, right? You've got another little bit of leeway. Stats wise, he's got 1 in the 90th percentile. right? So that's progressive passes received is 95th percentile, which you think about how we play, that switch from Trent over to him or Van Dijk, that's a progressive pass. Then he's got a collection in the 80s, which is non-penalty goals in XG and blocks. Unsurprisingly, one of his defensive stats, we know Cody for being a bit more defensively orientated, should we say. Aerials, again, that's a really strong element. He's in 79th percentile, so that's a really good thing. Shot volume 2.7, again, around that 2.5 shots, same as Diaz, same sort of element. Touching the penalty box, 5.37. I think Diaz was 6. So he's taking one less touch in the penalty box than Diaz was. Interceptions is good. That's, if you look comparing the defensive elements with some of the other players we've looked at, that's a high. That's in the green. That's 68th percentile. Clearance is a little bit more than we would normally expect for one of our players. And then you've got tackles again low. Passes attempted to received. It's a little bit low for a Liverpool player. If you look at Diaz, where is it? Passes attempted 36. Passes received, he's going to be a lot higher. Yeah, he's higher. So there are some things here about Cody's game you can look at. I haven't got his physical metrics to cite. But if you looked at his understat profile this season, he was over by about 1.5. Okay. Last season he was under. Season before that, when he first came to us, he finished over by a point. So he's in that one range, like one under, one above. It's not a bad. It doesn't seem to have big streaks in it. All right. Which is not a bad thing. It's just saying how it is, really. But no, I think so. For me, considering I think rightly Cody's been almost first choice left wing this year, that'd be a big change for me to see him to move on. I think he's not got quicker. He's just got better in terms of what he's doing. His decision making is quicker, so therefore he looks quicker on the ball. Because he knows what he's doing straight away. He's got a more defined role, yada yada. So those kind of things. So I think there's certainly some things to look at. If you compare Diaz and Cody in terms of their profiles, they're actually quite similar as a left winger, which shows you how much Slot has added on. Diaz obviously outperforms him in certain elements, and vice versa, but the shape is quite similar when you move it around that way. So Cody for me is a very Marmite player. I think some people haven't rated him and are pleased he's improved this season, and others are a bit have always loved him, and he's one of the Dutch lads and the rest of it. So I think it'd be a shame to see him go. I really do, because I think he might just starting to become into a good period for us. And with that length of time of his contract, I wouldn't suggest that was the best move business wise.
Interesting, 2028 it is, so 3 years he'll have left to go this summer, people. It is a tough one. And I understand for people, they'll be looking at it and thinking, we're going to have Diaz fans in the chat, we're going to have Gakpo fans in the chat. I think you'd feel it is more likely, as we said there, for Luis Diaz because of the contract situation, the age, all the other factors into it, and not ever really having that renewal, that bump, as we said at the same time. Gakpo, younger, probably more of a Dutch contingent, a Dutch feel at the club. It is fair to say that, and how he's done is probably the more first choice left winger. Maybe we'll have to see whether it plays, but it will be interesting to see what happens. But there we go, ladies and gents. When you look at it, Hugo Ekitike has a lot to like. There's a lot of talent there, but on the same time, or the same side, maybe a few reservations at that price for natural reasons. Yes, we'd like Julian Alvarez more, but that price may be even more prohibitive. We'll have to see if anything develops for either of those. And for the other two, Gakpo and Diaz, a lot would be sad to see either of them go. But truth be told, it probably does make a lot more sense for one over the other. We'll have to see what develops with them. And it does have the feeling we shouldn't have to wait too long for this all to shake out, in all honesty. But all it leaves me to say is now we've run the metrics, we've given the analysis. For that, for the time, for answering all the questions, Bart, it is appreciated.
No problem, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another Transfer Market Metrics for Anfield Index.